and I am completing my medical internship at Gwera Hospital in Kasese. I am a volunteer in this camp, Wabulemba and Zadok Foundation. This is my second time. I was here last year to offer free medical services, and here I am again. It's been a fulfilling experience for me, especially that I'm interested in emergency medicine. So this was an icebreaker for me. You know, the day has just begun. I come from home, I arrive at the health center, and I notice a young lady lying under a tree on a mat with two people around her, but they look confused. And I approached them and asked them, what is happening? And they said the girl is not doing well. So I am quick to put them aside onto the medical tent. I am seeing the adults in the medical surgical side. And I start taking a deep history to understand the story. This is a girl who has been sick for the last 4 months. And he started with these body swellings from the lower limbs, advancing up to involve the rest of the body. He now has some difficulty in breathing. He has had this productive cough. And unfortunately, the African way was being used to treat the girl. They were using some local herbs, a concoction of local herbs. But now they heard that there are doctors coming from Kampala and Zadok and Wabulemba Foundation. So they said, this is the real deal. So when I listened to the chest, he has, you know, a wet chest all over. I suspect that we could be dealing with a congestive cardiac failure. Maybe the heart is failing, either from TB disease previously or from a pneumonia. But at that moment, his SpO2, the saturation of blood, is fairly well. The patient is not toxic. So I say, since I don't know the HIV status, and you know we are in an area where maybe the prevalence may not be very good, I say let me first do an HIV test. So I send the patient to the lab, and then I start to see other patients. When they are coming out of the lab, they find when I'm engaged with other patients, but they don't come and tip on me. So I don't know that they have actually come. So they come back and go back under that shade, that tree shade. So it's until one of my other senior colleagues, a doctor, who came by and tipped on me and said, first come, there is someone I'm seeing, and I see your handwriting on the, on the clerkship form. I think this patient is badly off. So we go back to reassess. On remeasuring the oxygen, initially she was 98. She's now in 50s. And we're like, what are we dealing with? So we quickly pick her from the tree shade into one of the treatment rooms at the health center. But as we enter the treatment room, and this was really for me the eye catcher, she starts gasping for air. She starts screaming, "Omutima gunduma, omutima gunduma." The heart is paining, the heart is paining. The saturation is dropping from 50 to 40 to 30. And at that moment, we think we may get a bad outcome. So we are too fast. And I love the team effort. The entire team comes into play. The local, the nurse and the in charge. We are too quick to identify an IV line, try to resuscitate. We measured the blood pressure and now it is very low. We think the patient is going into septic shock. We don't know the focus of the cause of the sepsis, the focus of infection, but at least clearly you see this is a patient who is desaturating. So we are too quick to start an IV line, put on blood spectrum antibiotics. Of course, we didn't have the antibiotics. We had to run to a nearby pharmacy and get the antibiotics. And thank God the foundation, all this is being covered, the cost of the antibiotics. We had to quickly mobilize for oxygen from a nearby health center 4 and an ambulance to come and step in to raise back the oxygen. And you know what is surprising is when they introduce the oxygen by the face mask, life comes back. The lady becomes more calm. The oxygen saturation goes higher. She was diaphoretic, sweating, perspiring profusely. She's now a bit more calm, but of course the ambulance has to transfer the patient to a higher facility. So for me, it was a very, it was an adrenaline rush where I have to make a quick decision of what do we do next? Whom do we call? Where do we get an ambulance? Who has the number of the driver? The number is not going through. How do we get, we don't even have to reach a point. We had another sick baby who needed referral, and the ambulance was not forthcoming. So we had to jump onto a self-made ambulance, This is a police car, which is an escort of one of the members. So we use it as an ambulance. So I jump onto it with another nurse, hold an IV giving set of this. It's a young girl in a sickle cell crisis, so it needs fluids running in her body. Otherwise, the pain is too much. So we go to the nearby health facility, hoping that we can come back with the oxygen. But thankfully, the response was too fast. The oxygen reached before we were even able to come back. So for me, the take-homes are like three. One, health-seeking behavior of our people is poor. And this is an information that needs to reach out very clearly. We need to improve and keep re-emphasizing the importance of health-seeking behavior. You can't have a sick baby, a sick child, a sick adult in your home for 4 months. He's swelling and swelling, getting difficulty in breathing and coughing, and you still stay on your traditional local herbs. We would have lost this girl. We're actually lucky that she became toxic while in our hands. If this happened at home, we would have a bad outcome. So we need to keep emphasizing to these people during the camp, after the camp, the DHOs, all the important legislators and the stakeholders to emphasize the importance. Not wait for a camp to bring the extremely sick. A camp should only help those with mild illnesses or chronic illnesses just to check on progress, but not the very sick. The second take home is about preparedness of the healthcare system. You have a very toxic patient. You have to run around to get an IV cannula. You have to run around to get a giving set. You have to run around to get IV drugs, IV antibiotics, how to get gent and safe. I feel we need to keep advocating. It's a health center 3 years. It may not have a lot of inpatients, but at least we know it should have a little bit of some capacity. And then lastly, is an appeal to all people who can support similar engagements like Wabulembo Foundation. Because if it didn't come to this place, I would not come. So I would not see the patient. And my senior doctor would also not see the patient. So if we can have people to come into play to support such efforts, this is an annual event. We are hoping it's going to be an annual event. Maybe we shall save more lives by reaching out to people in their communities.
Dependent on the severity of the emergency and the quality of any treatment given, it might require the involvement of multiple levels of care, from first aiders through emergency medical technicians, paramedics, and emergency physicians. We got a chance to see Dr. Harriet save the life of a young lady who was undergoing a cardiac arrest and needed oxygen support. When she was able to have the blood oxygen levels in a reasonable range, an arrangement for an ambulance to transfer her to the nearest regional referral hospital for further management was done.
I'm Dr. Harriet Kose Kayanja. My specialty is internal medicine with a subspecialty of pulmonary and critical care. So on a regular day in the hospital, I take care of the sickest people in the intensive care units at my workplace. I am an associate professor of medicine at University of Cincinnati. In this community, health-seeking behavior is poor. So although we anticipated that maybe there'll be some very sick people, I didn't expect somebody that sick to be on the compound. So initially, I was just walking by. I think I was going to get something else. Then I noticed this lady on the ground, and she looks toxic. So I've been a critical care doctor for over 10 years, and I know how to recognize sick. And so I knew she needed emergent attention. And then so when I approached her, they looked at her papers, noticed initially her blood pressure was really low. Her heart rate was very fast. At that time, I couldn't tell if she had a fever or not. It turns out she also had a very high fever. With a little bit of more investigation, I noticed they had seen her earlier and sent her to the lab, but it looks like she's definitely sicker than she had been when she was seen earlier in the day. So I knew we needed to act immediately, because my initial impression at the time was that this is a woman in shock. Now it's undifferentiated shock, so but because I do this for a living, when you don't know exactly what's happening, there are general principles that you apply. One, make sure the blood pressure improves, reduce the fever, and make sure they are oxygenating while you figure out what exactly is going on. And so that's what we needed to do right away. The challenge was in the circumstances. This woman, we didn't have an infusion set ready to go. We had IV fluids, I think, in the facility, but we needed to go get a lot more from across the street. We didn't have IV antibiotics that are crucial. If somebody is going to survive a septic shock, you need to give IV antibiotics within 30 minutes. And at this point, I didn't know how far behind we were in this process. And so we became resourceful and worked as a team to try and address those three things. The antibiotics, one of the physicians had to physically leave the facility and go and buy the medication from an outside pharmacy, because the current facility doesn't have any in stock. And then as far as IV fluids, we got some IV fluids, but we had to buy more. The biggest challenge was having supplemental oxygen. This poor patient was desaturating, and her oxygen levels were really low, and I was very concerned that she was going to die any minute. It turned out we had to mobilize oxygen from another facility that's a distance away, to come and to bring the oxygen and then start supplying a supplemental oxygen. Fortunately, or thank God, by this time she'd been fluid resuscitated and her blood pressure was improving. And then when we got the oxygen, her oxygen saturation improved. We gave her antibiotics, but however, we needed to get her to a higher facility. In the ideal situation, this is a patient who needs to be in the intensive care unit to be monitored hour by hour. I think if it was to save that one life, this whole camp and the expenses and the sacrifices that are involved will make this worth it. And this really is very close and dear to me, because my own mother died 4 years ago because of delay in getting antibiotics, and she died from septic shock. So to me, this was very real, because I know what can happen when you delay providing the services. I'm hoping that the rest of the team, because I may not be, I may not stay around for much longer than today or tomorrow, but I'm hoping that the rest of the team, and especially our colleagues who work here or live here in the facility, will follow up. We did provide resources because the family obviously were not prepared for what happened, two, do not have the resources. But in this crisis, we provided some supplementary money to at least bridge them over wherever they've gone, and hopefully one of us will follow up. I do this for a living, so I take care of very critically ill patients. Two, I think when you're the team leader in a situation, you have to be composed, because otherwise everybody else on the team will be panicking. And three, although it was critical, I knew what I needed to do, and we just I had to focus my energy and attention on how do we get the resources we need in the emergent situation to keep this woman alive. I felt exhausted for 5 minutes, but in reality, when there's a crisis, I come alive. I ran towards the crisis.
Referring to the pillars of Zadok and Joyce Wabulembo Memorial Foundation, that is, compelled by love to spur community to sustainable health, wealth and education, we were able to witness pillar number 3, which is education. The health and education talks did not only happen at the medical camp, but were further spread out in some of the secondary schools. The family members distributed roles depending on their strength and specialities to talk to the young boys and girls in the different schools. First was a visit to Nkoma Memorial Secondary School in Kaliro District, where Dr. Harriet, other family members and friends gave a talk, after which they distributed sanitary towels plus other items to the students.
So my name is Dr. Alfred Wabulembo. I follow 2 people who follow her. So I'm younger than her. But what I can tell you today is that I started from Ivukula Primary School. I started from Ivukula Primary School. I used to walk from Bulembo to Ivukula Primary School. Like you also walk to come here and go back home. I was lucky, by the grace of God, that I was the best in Ivukula Primary School in P7. If I tell you about the lifestyle that I used to lead, because for us, by the time I got to P7, our father had just died. So I was living with our mother, who is a new widow. At that time, I didn't think about it, but now I imagine what she was thinking. Because she was a primary school teacher in Ivukula Primary School, and she had to take care of us. So at home, my sister and other brothers, because they were older than me, they had all left, gone to boarding schools. Why do I tell you this? It's because you might think that maybe what we are today is what we have been all through. Our parents were teachers, both of them. Yeah, they were both teachers. So, and we were many, because we were both born 10 of us. So they had to make sure they provide for each one of us. So why I'm telling you this is that it is possible. It is possible for you also to go to Kampala. It is possible for you to go to Makerere. If I made it, I started in Ivukula Primary School. From that primary school, I went and studied in Budini. So now let me talk to you as secondary school students. I went to Budini SS. I used to ride a bicycle like that one when I was 14 years old. So I'd go in the morning, take the cow to graze, then come, shower a bit, then ride a bicycle for 13 kilometers to go to school. Then at lunchtime, school ends, and you have to ride back in that hot sun, come back home. By that time, my mother is still at school. So I have to first go and give the cow water. Otherwise, we shall not have milk in the evening. Then I come back and take care of myself. So probably the life that you are going through, I have gone through it. But I have managed to get to a better place.
I'm so happy to see so many girls here. Because girls, I know when we were growing up, I used to tell my parents, you're wasting your money taking care of these girls. They are going to get pregnant, they are going to amount to nothing. I'm sure you hear those stories. people say, finish school, let's marry you off. Please stay in school, young girls, especially young girls. My mother, our father passed on quite early, and my mother is the one who raised us as a single mother. I come from, actually, my mother is born from, not far, too far from here, Bunyiro. I don't know if you know that place, and my father is from Nakalama. So those are my home area. They are from Busoga. So my parents raised 8 of us, 6 girls, and we were taken to the best boarding schools. Not because our parents had the money, but they struggled. I remember my school where I went, where I met Harriet, which is the other thing I'm going to talk about relationships. Harriet, we met in a school called Berkeley High School in Iganga. I think many of you know that school. My mother at one time was so poor. She was a banker, but she couldn't be able to pay for all us, the children in good schools without diversifying. So she was farming. So sometimes my school fees would be paid by a lorry truck of potatoes. So she would drive sweet potatoes to the school to pay for my school fees. So it is that kind of environment that we grew up in. But we stayed in school. Our mother struggled to keep us in school as girls. So young ladies, please stay in school. Don't be deceived that you will amount to nothing. If you only choose to decide that, get pregnant, maybe go get married off, there's a lot that can happen for you. So stay in school. So the second thing that I want to talk about is relationships, important relationships. When you're in school, that's where you meet people who are going to impact you for the rest of your lives.
My name is Edith Nakujoloba, and I am a doctor also, and I am related to the Wabulembu family. Yeah, I have also become their family member. Dr. Harriet went to school together. I'm much older than them. These 2 young ladies, they are S1s when I was in a class I won't mention. Around there. So, but they have become my little sisters now. We are colleagues. Yeah, so it's very important to have friends and to have good friends. So, but my message, my work is I'm a doctor. I'm a medical doctor. I'm also a teacher. I teach in the university, the School of Public Health of Makerere University. I'm also a farmer. Yeah, so we went, I grew up in Kampala. I'm from a place called Bulemezi and Chadondo. My main message is 3. Number 1, learn well. These people are here. They've told us Nkono is one of the best schools teacher. That's what we had on the village. Yeah, it is true. They said that you may see the numbers are small, but the values are there. Thank you very much, staff, for doing that. And as children who want to study, come here. And they may be few, but they come willing to study. So I'm glad that you people are here. You are few, but what you are going to show them is going to be what Dr. Alfred showed them with his school year, because he said 4 out of 21 go to first grade. That is 20%. For you, it will be 50%. You are going to show them.
While in this new generation, most of the opportunities are coming online. Fellowships are coming online. Trainings are coming online. And you people are, most of you are 20, 18. You're of that age that they are looking for. You're the youth they are looking for. They are, Gen Z, definitely. Yeah, they are looking for people like you to train you, to prepare you for political positions, to prepare you for so many other things. So when you have access to mobile phones, please don't do the things that you're not supposed to be doing. You know the things I'm talking about, right? Yes, yeah. Please try and look for fellowships. Look for them in this country, even other countries. Be outgoing. Look for opportunities, because the opportunities are there. That I tell you. I've been part of like 4 fellowships. I've had trainings, and I found all those on my mobile phone, yeah? And then another thing to the girls, I advise you to stay in school. I'm a girl like you. I stayed in school. Read hard. People are going to offer you iPhones. It's not for your future, remember? It's not for your future. And yeah, really, stay focused.
I'm a grandchild to Joyce and Zadok. So my village is not far from here. My village is Bulembo. I don't think any of you from Bulembo. My village is Bulembo. I studied business at university, but I work in Kampala. I just want to encourage you guys to just keep going, keep going with school. I'm really proud of how far you've come, and thank you, teachers, for guiding them and for teaching them. Just keep going in school. I've had the opportunity to go to school in the UK, and actually, you guys are really focused. You guys are really good compared to some of the students in the UK. You guys are really focused and hardworking. So clap for yourselves. Really clap for yourselves. Clap for yourselves for being in school, for being focused.
And I'm really happy to be here. I don't have much to say, but all I want to tell you is, if you set your mind to do something, you can really be what you want to be. It's called manifestation. If you wake up every day and say, mathematics are physics are has put you on the ground. But in your mind, if you know you're smart, you manifest. The Lord hears. Ense ulira. Yesu awulira. Allah awulira. Bajjajja bawulira. Yes. So if you focus your mind on something, if you manifest, I believe reward, hard work and manifestation. With manifestation is rewarded.
I'm not in quite a similar situation as you, but I can relate with the fact that I have just finished my S4s, and I can relate with the fact that studying is not always as easy as a lot of people make it to be. Sometimes we want to study, yet sometimes our friends go to other places. We feel like we're missing out. Sometimes we see people, they have all these dreams and focused on us. Sometimes they say, oh, maybe if you don't do it, who's going to do it for us? Who's going to look after your mother and father when they're older? Who's going to look after your grandma, your jaja? There's people who don't have. These people are here. These people have looked after you your entire life, and sometimes it feels like if you don't do it, you are ungrateful. Sometimes pressures come on us. Sometimes it's not even from our parents. Sometimes it's from our friends. Like I said, sometimes we miss out. Sometimes we feel like we're missing out on things. And yet, at the end of it all, the only person who's going to be standing there, talk face to face with you, your mother, your grandfather, your parent, your grandfather, your jajas, your nieces, it's going to be you. And at the end of it all, if you can look at yourself in the past and say, I'm better than I was yesterday, and tomorrow I'm going to be better than I was today, then I think that we're not really using the best of our time. I'm here, I say this even if I'm in the same position as you, because I've not yet reached the end goal. There are people, these are the people, the big shoes I have to fill. My mother, who has worked very hard, who has had the wisdom to bring me and talk to you, to see that some things start small but they can have an impact. And I'm here trying to follow in our footsteps so that I can even triple that impact.
We also visited Ivukula Secondary School, where it was interesting to have the Bamugemereres participate in the education and hygiene talk to the boys and girls.
We want you to know that there is a lot out there in life for you if you work hard, if you keep yourself healthy, if you do things at the right time. That's our key message that we bring to you. So the Zadok and Joyce Foundation basically focuses on 3 or 4 pillars. Number 1 is health. We believe that everybody should be healthy. We believe that everybody should have access to basic health care. We believe that people should be given an opportunity to have first aid when an accident happens to you. So we have been on a campaign to try and bring facilities nearer to the people. We haven't yet succeeded in building a clinic or a big hospital, but what we've been doing over the last 3.5 years is to organize once a year, at least once a year, to organize what we call a medical camp. A medical camp is an arrangement where we gather health service providers to come and sit at the Health Center 3 at Impande, and treat as many people as possible. With us today, we have a doctor from America. She's called Harriet Kose, Dr. Harriet Kose, but she was born here. She went to school in Berkeley, went to school in Gayaza and other schools, Kamuli, and she's now a doctor at the level of associate professor. Those are the inspirations we are giving you, that it is possible for a child to be born in Ivukula, work hard, study hard, be disciplined, and work anywhere in the world. Have value. We want economic empowerment. Many of you may have been hearing the president talking about household income. He has said that I've built roads. You know, the road network in Uganda is now wonderful. You can drive from Kampala to Kitgum on tarmac. However, many people have said the good roads cannot put what? Food on the table. So we are also saying, how can we contribute to that government program of economic empowerment? Already you've heard about programs called the Miyoga, what is it? PDM, PDM ya Trukileno. Muni naba zaira basudire kwa PDM. Ah, wonderful. Karati anutaka, we want every family to have household income. So we have started an initiative of trying to train people in farming. Some people have already been able to sell. They've been involved in fish farming, poultry, goat rearing, cows. We've got some good breeds of goats and so on. So this program is just here. It's young, and it's through initiatives, our own initiatives, that we are trying to contribute to that government policy of economic empowerment. Number 3 is mindset change. Many of us are victims of our mind setup. The mind controls everything you do. When you want to say something, it has to go through the mind. If you have to do something, it has to do the mind. All the big discoveries that are in the world have come through the what? The mind. So that is our the main things we are now touching right now. 4 issues. And we would like you children to also embrace. This is Justice Catherine Bamgemereire. She's a justice of the Supreme Court of Uganda. We also come from Ivukula. The name Bamgemereire comes from Ivukula.
Some of you may not get the deodorant, but some of you may get this bag. This bag has an even bigger deodorant. So some of you may get this and will be very lucky. Some of you may not. I wanted to give advice to those who will not get this. There is a powder. It is called a baking powder. Baking what? If you have what is called body odor. Body what? We used to call it, the other people have the odor on the legs as well. Yeah? You take off your socks and, oh! Do you know that? So it is either here or down in the legs. If you have that odor, buy that little powder, 1,500. After bathing, after drying up properly, make sure you're dry, yeah? And you're shaved, right? And also when you wash, one of the reasons your feet smell is you don't dry between the toes. And yet you wear socks. And the socks sweat. And what did he say? He said the germs produce poo-poo. Then you smell. Put that powder in your armpit. I'm teaching you this. I learned it at university. By the way, I'm so lucky. I don't have a body that smells. I'm also very lucky that although I came from an actually poor family, I had an auntie who sent me roll-ons when I was in S1. So by the time I really became a teenager and needed it, I knew how to use a roll-on, and I had a deodorant, really. But many of us don't afford those things. Isn't that true? So you got to learn how to improvise. Wash with that soap. Buli soap gwolina mukozese bulungi. Omukozese kusa. Onaabe, and you dry up. And then you put that powder. That powder eliminates odor. And can actually eliminate odor for the rest of your life if you use it well. Because odor, makes you uncomfortable and makes the people around you uncomfortable. But I want to say also something about this. Some of us come in the morning and our mouths are smelling. Isn't that true? Why do you think the mouths are smelling? What do you do when you wake up in the morning?
Namuganza Dokas. When you wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth, even the face, then we bathe all the body.
And you also make your bed? Or remove the bed?
We lay. No. Even we lay the bed.
You lay the bed. You open the windows?
No, you close.
In the morning
You open the windows.
So that air can come in.
Yes.
All those things. And also, apart from that, some of you come from homes where you have to go and, hey, come. You deserve a bag. Thank you, Dorcas Namuganza, our future minister, right? Clap for her. So, I was reading a very sad story about children who share toothbrushes in turns. So they wait for the brother to brush, then the sister also uses the same. It's very bad. It is very, very bad to share toothbrushes because the germs in the mouth are really horrible. You don't want to share them. My grandmother had a tree and we would cut the tree and use it for brushing our teeth. But anyway, some of you are going to get toothbrushes. Others of you, and you know what to use them for. There is a floss. Have you ever heard of a floss? So the one who is going to get this is really going to be special because for the first time you also learn that it's not enough to use a toothbrush. And also another thing, and I don't know whether the method has changed, when you're brushing your teeth, and I've learned this because I've made mistakes, and I have lost teeth by making mistakes, you brush round and round and round. You don't brush, and don't brush too hard. Now after brushing, you use after eating food, you use one of these sticks. They are called floss, a floss stick. The floss stick has two parts. It has the part where you put the little cotton part between your teeth. And you take your time to make sure there is no food between the teeth. And you know why we do that? Because when you don't remove meat from between your teeth, the meat rots. Yeah? And again, what did they say about the bacteria? They love to eat that, and then they do what? They defecate. She said it in Lusoga. She said they do what? Then their teeth rot. You know? So you need to floss, so make sure there's nothing in there. It also has a sharp part. There are times something is sticking out and you feel it, and you can just go in and remove it. This is called a dental floss. You also have the normal soap. This soap is called Coast. But please, one of the things you should get interested in is having a little soap for yourself all the time. And then you have a hand sanitizer. A hand sanitizer, you know what it's used for? What were we doing during COVID? Washing hands. It does the job of washing your hand without you having water. But please wash your hands every day, all the time, when you go to toilet and before you eat food. Isn't that so? And pray and read your Bible every day.
Kose, whom I'm introducing, is a specialist in treating those very, very, very bad critical illnesses. So today she swung into action, helped a person around. The person, I think, had a few minutes to die. But the person is still alive. I think has been taken to Iganga for treatment. So yes, asante sana, I think we deserve to thank Kose for coming from America. And she has saved a life today. Harriet Kose.
My name is Harriet Kose Kayanja, Nzebanza Labulembo, okay? All right? I want that to sink in. Banzalire Budini, and then Ninkulira Bulembo for a few years before we moved away. I'm so glad to be here in front of young people, because you know why young people are very precious? Because your minds are open, okay? You still have a clean slate on your life. You have the opportunity to make something out of your lives. let me, I know my brother spent quite some time telling you how he got where he did, and the story is a commendable story. Mine too is a commendable story. All of us here, it's a commendable story. None of us was born with a silver platter. Tiba tuzalire mu bagaiga oba Kampala mu nyumba jakalina be. We were ordinary people. Nze, the first shoes I owned, okay, bajingulire nga myaka 13 nga ndikwaba mu S1 oloni, ndikwaba mu isomero ly'abagaiga nga tisobola kwabira mu bigere. Era egyo ndoozi oba baba oba mama baikopere sente nibangulira engaito. Okay, so even in that rich people's school, I was probably one of the poorest students there. In fact, abazungu, they were very caring in that school. Ainga babeta abana betage bintu ngolwisi nibatwa engoye enkaire gye batoire haina ebungereza. The reason I'm telling you all that, I didn't wake up like this. And so, the story may be similar for some of you. You know, those good things happen to other people. Those things can happen to you. How does that happen? You stay focused. Musigalo muisomero, okay? If you're 13, 14, 16, 18, gario omuisukali gotia whatever. The time for boyfriends and men will come when you're of age. But right now, your focus should be school. Tuchitegera, kumiyaka jino hormones, do you know what hormones are? What is hormones?
Hormones are organic substances secreted by part of a body that bring about response in another part of the body.
Wow. Good job. He gets a bonus. He gets a bonus, yes. So hormones, they are substances secreted by organs in our bodies. Ayokumi akajino. What changes us from children to men and women is our bodies start secreting hormones that make us change, okay? Make us change to develop into what we're meant to be, which is either a woman or a man, right? During that time, a lot of things happen, okay? Your body physically changes. What changes in girls? Okay, what's your name?
My name is Namlondo Mariam.
Namlondo Mariam. Okay, what changes in girls?
The change in girls, enlargement of breasts.
Okay, enlargement of breasts.
The face becomes narrow.
The face becomes narrow.
Maybe. It is pubic hair growth.
Pubic, okay. they grow pubic hair.
Yes,
okay, that happens to both girls and boys, okay?
Yeah. The menstruation period is starting.
Okay.
Starts. The menstruation period starts.
Okay. So girls start having what we call what is it called? I want the boys to repeat that. What do the girls get? Menstruation period, and that's normal. Okay.
Yes.
There's nothing to be ashamed of.
And the boys say that, and we hear you. Boys, can you say menstruation period? Menstruation period. Good.
The glands becomes active. The glands becomes active.
Okay, other glands become active. Good job. Give her a clap. Okay, I want to pause for a minute. Menstruation periods, okay? That is normal and that is expected, okay? I don't want to ever hear one of you boys making fun of a girl who's had a period and maybe had an accident at school, okay? Somehow they soiled their t-shirt or their skirt and it's funny to you, or you start laughing and talking about her. There's nothing funny or wrong about it. It's normal, okay? And girls, don't skip school because you're in your period, okay? It's normal, it's expected. In fact, if you didn't get your periods, you'd be worried. Your parents would be worried and they'll probably take you to a doctor. So it's normal, okay? One thing that we would like to help some of the girls, we don't have enough supplies, but I'm hoping that most of you will be able to get some. When you're in your period, I know it's hard. It's hard to come to school and you have to find a place to change your sanitary towels. Or maybe you don't even have sanitary towels and you're using toilet paper or you're using a rag, and then that gets soiled. And I've heard stories that some girls use sand, okay? I know it's hard, but you shouldn't miss school because of that. And one of the things that we'd like to do is to introduce you to, these are called reusable sanitary pads, okay? When your period comes, you use this and then wash it and dry it in the sun, and so you can use it again. So the pack that we are going to give some of you has 3 of them. So between the 3, you should be able to, 1, come to school and be able to have them to use for the 3 or 4 days or 5 days that your period lasts, because you use it and wash it. We talked about hormones, right? So those hormones sometimes make you want to do things that adults do when your emotional and sometimes even physical body is not mature enough to do those things. What am I talking about? Okay? Who's brave enough to say it? Who knows what I'm talking about? Okay, the hormones may make you want to be sexually active when you're not. You think you're ready, or your body feels like it's ready, but you're not emotionally, you're not sometimes physically ready for those activities, and you're not ready to carry a child. Okay. So what are the ways of keeping your hormones at bay so that you do not do what is not good for you at this age? I'm not saying sex is bad. I'm saying sex is not good for you at this age because, 1, you're still dependent on your parents, okay? You can't afford to take care of a child. 2, you're not emotionally or even mentally adult enough to take the responsibilities that come with being sexually active. I'm hopeful that we'll have another medical camp next year, and in the states where I work, I've had the organization recently registered as a not-for-profit organization, which now allows me to fundraise. So that's going to be my next objective for most of the next year, to fundraise so that we can do even more than we've been able to do. And I'll appeal to people that I know and those that I don't know. It will involve modifying our website so it's more visible, and hopefully we can get more donations to do it. I also plan to interest my institution, and my boss at my institution already told me they have funding to help other trainees come and who are interested in global health to at least to travel and come and be part of this. So I'm hoping that next year will even be a bigger camp. I mean, this is home. The need is still great. One of the, what I see as an intermediate objective or goal for the foundation is to maybe support a local physician, a local doctor to be stationed here, so that people have access to a doctor, because otherwise they really don't have access to a doctor in this facility. So right now the need is still great, and we're going to focus initially on our home grounds, and as the organization grows and hopefully funding gets better, then we'll expand.
No level of portion pomp is compared to the comfort of home, as humble as one's home is. It was fulfilling to witness the family of Zadok and Joyce Wabulembo give back to the community where they were born and raised. Thank you for serving your community.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Shocking statistics on road crashes in Uganda show that there were over 23,608 road accidents in a single year, 2023. This highlights an increase of 16% compared to the previous year. The Uganda Traffic and Road Safety Report of 2023 also shows that there were 24,728 casualties from road crashes, with 4,806 people dead, 16,736 seriously injured, and 3,186 escaping with minor injuries. The rampant increase in the number of road crashes and casualties in Uganda is seriously alarming. According to Uganda Police Traffic Report, 80% of road crashes in Uganda are as a result of speeding, reckless driving, and violation of traffic rules and regulations. Your life and that of other road users matters. Every life taken or injured in a road crash is an emotional loss to a family, resource loss to a business, development contribution loss to a community.